Check out this contraption. Like the most dense technical document ever. And it was just way too hard. It takes so much force to try to move this at all. I just pulled it into the gas tank. If this doesn't work, I'm a fool, and if it does work, I'm a genius. This is the intake suction side, and this is the pressured pump side. I'm getting this no heater message. So I gotta debug this. This is the exhaust muffler, connection nozzles for the hot air outtake, the part that clamps onto the heater. This is a mounting bag for, or these are the components for mounting the fuel metering pump. This must be for hooking up the exhaust. I'm under the van trying to figure out where I can cut my through holes. Stuff keeps getting in my eyes. Positioning the base plate for the Espar heater, and it's really sensitive, it looks like, to positioning. Like there's beams on all sides and there's a heat shield below with just like the tiniest margins. So this is where I've ended up right now. I've marked out some beam locations and I'm using these pre-existing factory holes as reference points from underside the van. These are the hole positions that I came up with. So the black holes in the middle are for the actual Espar heater components. There's the exhaust and air intake lines and the gas intake line, and then 4 bolts to hold on the mounting plate to the Espar heater. So this like kind of light blue line I've drawn around it is my intended square cutout that I'm actually going to cut through the floor of the van. And then the dots around the outside are where I plan to put the mounting plate. Check out this contraption. It's like the longest drill bit thing I've ever seen. The paint's dried on the initial hole cutout that I put in yesterday. So this square here, I put a layer of primer, Rust-Oleum primer, and then protective enamel over the exposed edges. Now the plan is to cut in holes for these anchoring points on the mounting board and expand them and drop riv nut through that hole. Got this rope marked off in 1-foot increments, and I'm passing it down through the hole I cut so I can get a measurement for how long my fuel line running to the Espar and electrical fuel, the electrical wire that runs to the fuel pump under the van. Probably like over here somewhere. I'd say that's about 10 feet. Next up, I need to install this gas line into this gasoline pickup right here. On the Espar technical manual, it's like the most dense technical document ever. I left a note saying, first read through, I got to this point before exhaustion. So now I have the exhaust pipe tightened down the fresh air intake, and I've protected both the electrical wire to the fuel pump and the gas line to the fuel pump. All right, time to install some M6 rivet nuts. I'm now routing the exhaust and fresh air intake pipes under the van through this hole I cut. I also just lifted the van up onto these rhino ramps to give me another like foot of clearance under there. You can see those right there. And the electrical wire for the fuel pump and gas input for the fuel pump towards the driver's side. Electrical line that goes to the fuel pump, I need to route up and through this wire grommet. Now I'm applying some heat tape to protect the short run of wire between the Espar heater and my main protected wire sheath. Today the plan is to drop the fuel tank. Hopefully I can get it done today before the rain comes again later tonight. I got this ATV jack that I'm hoping will help with lowering the fuel tank. And I got this tire marker that I'm going to try to mark out exactly where all the different brackets are on the fuel tank. So I'm going into the car now, just so I remember the orientation of everything. So I'm under the van now. My voice is muffled because I have a mask on to prevent fuel fumes from killing me. But I've disconnected the two fuel lines, and then one electrical harness that connect to the fuel pickup. Just pulled the fuel tank out. At first I was trying to remove the fuel pickup with the tank still mounted under the van, and it was just way too hard. It takes so much force to try to move this at all, so I had to take it out and then try again. Finally got this top piece off. Took forever. It took a ton of force with this mallet and this socket wrench bit. This is the fuel pickup. I just pulled it into the gas tank. Next step is drilling a hole through the top of this to insert the Espar standpipe. I installed the fuel standpipe right here on the Ford fuel pickup. So between, I think this is the auxiliary fuel port and then one of the other fuel ports. It's a super tight fit. I saw a video from ABC Rig doing it this way, but it just barely fits under, so I don't know if I would recommend it. And then I slid it down through into this opening in the actual fuel pickup body. My reasoning being, I think this like retains fuel even when there's like low fuel in the tank and the tank maybe is tilted. I also cut like about 2 inches off of the fuel pickup. I wish I had cut less. Like even right now, it's not all the way to the bottom. I guess that's good in that this definitely can't empty the fuel tank all the way, but I'm a bit worried that it's not going to pick up fuel at all, honestly. We'll see what happens. I guess I'll just have to test it out, see how it works. And I also, when I first ground off this fuel standpipe, and it totally welded it closed, and so then I was like, oh man, I just ruined this standpipe, and I hadn't taken the little plastic protector out yet, so it also welded that to the inside. So then I had to sand it down and file it down and pry out the plastic pickup. There's been multiple times in the last few minutes that I've thought I've both ruined the Ford pickups, Ford fuel pickup, and the Espar install. It's been incredibly stressful. there's a little bit of bend in this, and they mentioned that actually a bend is okay. You can have like 2 bends up to 10 millimeters in radius. So now I just got to tighten this and then install the end on and reverse this whole process. But fingers crossed right now that this is an okay install and that this fuel pickup is going to sip fuel and this actually will work. If this doesn't work, I'm a fool, and if it does work, I'm a genius. Not sure if you can see from there, but it ends about 2 inches above the bottom of this, to be determined once I get this all installed again. That's been a pretty stressful day. So right now I'm wrapping this fuel wire in heat resistant tape shielding. Alright, after a lot of banging with this mallet, I was able to get this top locking piece back on. It's coming out right in between these, and then a little bit of heat sheathing and split loom just to protect the start of this wire. Alright, just had a much needed break, having a bit of espresso right now to refuel, and then it's time to re-jack up the fuel tank. I'm back under the van connecting the main fuel line. All the different smaller fuel lines, and all the clips. Just trying to line it up slowly. And then I'm going to use this impact driver with the 13 millimeter bit to drive in the bolts. This rear passenger side bracket is the toughest one because this drive shaft is going like right under it. The plug facing the rear, the fuel flows from the tank through here, power goes in here. This is the intake suction side, and this is the pressured pump side that will pump fuel up through this fuel hose up to the heater. Oh my god, dude, that was so difficult. Man, this heat sheathing is so hard to work with after you put it on. Oh man, okay. So I have the 2 lines connected to the fuel pump for the Espar. One coming from the gas tank. I have the 25-gallon gas tank and I've attached it to the forwardmost bracket. It's the rear, middle, forward bracket. Comes up here in protective sheathing and some heat tape. And then on the other side I have both the wire and the heater side fuel line coming out. And I had a lot of extra cable for the electric wire to the pump. So I just bundled that together and kind of wrapped it up and then wrapped it all in some duct tape and some heat tape and a little bit of conduit on the bottom side. And I've zip tied it just to a couple different like holes and other wires. It runs up and over this box, over the drive shaft and over the heat shield, and then up and under the passenger seat. Okay, so I've decided on where I'm going to drill the hole for the vent cover for the Espar. It's going to be right here on the passenger seat. So I used kind of the end trim piece for the exhaust vent to figure out exactly where I was going to position this hole, template it out, And then I did a test hole. The first time I tried with 2.5 inches, but that was actually too small. So I had to go pick up a 2 5/8 inch hole saw. This one has carbide teeth, so it should be okay for cutting through this steel, hopefully. Report back on that. But this fits really well through here, so that should work okay. On the inside of the seat base, with this white marker, I marked out where the Espar actually lines up under the seat, and now I'm repositioning it up here. So I need to run the vent at a bit of an angle. I might need to loop it back to get over there, but there's so many of these like vent holes here that I decided it's actually better just to drill a new hole in some of this bare metal and go from there. Nice. Oh man, that was quite a job. I just finished reinstalling the seat. So the interior portion of the Espar heater install is all done. Finished up all the wiring, and I temporarily hooked up the Easy Start controller just under the screen up there. I still haven't put the fuse in yet, but all that's left now for the install is to finish properly attaching these hoses down here, the combustion and the fresh air intake hose. So here's my exhaust run so far. Comes from the top here. I bolted it under this jack storage compartment. And now I'm going to mount the exhaust silencer right over here. That was pretty gnarly. It is now 8:30 on May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I just ran the exhaust pipe. I anchored it here, here. It's got mostly a continuous downwards bend. Flattens out a little bit right here, but I think that's fine. I could always add a little bit of spacer under this mounting point if I need to. But it goes to here, and cutting through the exhaust pipe was the hardest part in this process. I started with a utility knife. That wasn't working very well. Got out the grinder, and the first cut was pretty messy. So this side of the exhaust cut's a little sloppy, but I tightened it nice and tight to the exhaust silencer. I think that'll be fine. And then I actually got a cleaner cut from the grinder on this one, so that looks good. Mounted the exhaust silencer here, and then a final mounting point right down here where I'm pointing the end of the exhaust kind of out from under the vehicle. All right, now just the fresh air system, and I'm good to go. Check out this utility knife from trying to cut the exhaust flexible hose. I think I'm finished. Just got to install the fuse and refill the gas tank and pray to the sweet baby Jesus that this all works. Here's what my van looks like right now. After the full day of wiring and reinstalling the seat, fixing the fresh air and exhaust air hoses. Now it's pouring rain outside. Just as I finished up, it just started pouring on me. Pretty soaked right now. Totally covered in water. But oh man, I think I'm done. That was the hardest part of this project so far, I think. It was very complicated to do that. Definitely a very advanced DIY. I just put in a 20 amp fuse to the gas heater circuit. So right now when I'm turning on the controller for the Espar, I'm getting this no heater message. So I gotta debug this. Oh my god, I fixed it. That literally fixed it. Oh my god, I've been working on this for so long. I just had to swap these two wires. They sent them to me in the incorrect orientation. Crazy. Oh man, okay, so let's try the heater. It's starting to blow air. Go look at the fuel pump. I'm getting clicks at the fuel pump. Clicks are starting to speed up. Going to go check the fresh air and exhaust. Getting a little air out of the exhaust pipe. So the air is still cool. It's probably been about 45 seconds. This is the first time that I've started it. It's been about 2 minutes. The heater's starting to pump more air. It's starting to warm up a little bit. Oh man. The air is definitely starting to warm. Close this. Right now, electrically, it's pulling about 50 watts. Definitely starting to heat up. So I can see the exhaust coming out here out of this pipe. fresh air being pulled in through here. Exhaust fumes are definitely a bit stinky, and the fuel pump's still just lightly clicking away. Yes! I'm so stoked. I thought I broke it. I thought I ruined everything, but it's working perfectly actually. I did it. Let's go. Alright, the heater's been running for maybe like 10 minutes, and it's too hot to even bring my hand closer than about right here. It's pumping out really hot air now. It's actually getting really warm in the van. Today it's like 50 degrees outside, 49 degrees. Oh man, it's so hot, this air. So the heater just finished its timed cycle that it was on. So I heard like the fan turn down quite a bit. And I think now it kind of goes onto like a cool down cycle.